Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So we are back with another episode of Dragon Prince episode 2. And before getting to what happened in the last episode, we do have I did want to mention something that I completely looked over the last episode, which was the animation and how fantastic it looks compared to season 1 and 2. Not that season 1 and 2 didn't look great, but there were certain areas where it did look a bit choppy. So they've been doing a phenomenal job with this season so far. So hats off to the team, the studio that's actually working on the animation. I'm not sure which studio is doing this, so I'll definitely need to check it out because it's certainly impressive. And I mean, this is coming from someone who does not particularly like 3D animation. And don't get me wrong, I've loved a lot of the projects that Netflix has taken on with animation. Love, Death and Robots being one of my absolute favorites now, and I can't wait for the next season. Um, and so there are certain series where 3D animation does work. Dragon Prince being one of them, of course. Absolutely love that. It works again with Love, Death and Robot, but I think 3D animation has its place. But I don't believe it should be the very first option, especially when they're adapting something from a source material, like coming from a manga, right? For those of you who have not checked it out yet, be sure to check out their sneak preview or a teaser for Ghost in the Shell, which, if you look at the ratio of likes versus dislikes, it's drastically different. You know, with dislikes being higher, and that was one of those dislikes, and I don't particularly like doing that, but at the same time, I've been watching anime for a very long time, and in the pantheon of anime, Ghost in the Shell is one of the two at the top, and I would say maybe Akira is next to it, and one other that I'm blanking on at the moment. But the point being, the work by the artist Shiro Masamune for Ghost in the Shell, and something, for example, like Berserk, right? The amount of detail that's put into into the manga, and in some instances the anime, for you to translate that and the end result being this 3D animation that Netflix presented for Ghost in the Shell, it was it was garbage. I'm sorry, but no, just don't, Netflix, don't. Um, Again, 3D animation has its place, but if you're gonna adapt something like that that has as is coming from a known, a well-known property from source material that fans, and it has fans, a huge fan base, that will reference that source material, and they look at the detail in that work, in that body of work, compare it to your adaptation. Do not use 3D animation for that, right? It should 3D animation should be a last resort. It should not be your first option. So, for example, Attack on Titan, which ran into some budgetary problems. I believe it was perhaps not the last season, but the season before that, season three. Um, um, they had some budgetary issues, and they were forced to use 3D animation to animate the colossal Titan, right? And so they used it sparingly, and that's fine. But you should not be adapting something like Ghost in the Shell and immediately your first thought is to go to 3D animation. It just won't work, and the fans have said as much. So you look in the comment sections for that teaser trailer, they're destroying it because it just does not work, right? And I do wish they would look at the results historically, right? Where something like Berserk, which has a huge fan base again, and the most recent version that was released, which didn't fans didn't take to because it was 3D. It was 3D animation throughout. The music was fantastic, but the rest of it looked awful. So I don't know, Netflix, if you're listening, please take the time, do cel shade and hand drawn animation. Take the time to do it right. I know they're in a rush to try to get all these properties and build their own content library, but at the same time, when it comes to animation, it's a completely different beast than anything else. And this is the one area that I think you guys have an upper hand, right? And you give the artist the freedom to do these projects, and we all appreciate that. all your subscribers appreciate that, but at the same time, when it comes to animation, you do have to take your time and get it right the first time. Anime fans can be so unforgiving. Um, so get it right the first time. Get it right the first time. And as I said, the 3D animation has its place. I love it here. The Godzilla animation that's on Netflix as well, part 1, 2, and 3. I absolutely love that as well because you're so engulfed in the world, the characters, you're not paying too much attention to the animation. But where you have properties that fall down in those areas, the animation is going to become immediately noticeable, and it will just fall apart from there. So take the time, do it hand drawn. I know it's longer, I know it takes more resources, but it will be worth it. Your fans will appreciate that. So that's my rambling for animation. On the last episode here, for Dragon Prince, of course we had Callum and Rila catching up, and yeah, they pretty much were on their way to Xadia, and they ran into Soul Regem, this dragon from old. You know, he was there from the very beginning when the war started, and we did have a flashback with him at the beginning where he met this mage. I'm not sure if they said his name. Um, yeah, I'm not sure if they said his name, but I think I said that he reminded me of Varen, but I'm not sure if how. But in any case, um, this guy made it clear that humans didn't want to give up dark magic because they didn't want to be beneath, the elves and the dragons. And I said it then that I understand his point, but I guess it depends on, how things were before they had access to dark magic. Were they treated as though they were, lower beings than the elves and the dragons, or were they on equal footing? If they were all living together in harmony, then give up the dark magic. But again, it depends on what, and I think as time goes on, they'll reveal more about how things were before the war, and so we'll have a better idea as to how we got here. But yeah, Callum and Rayla, they met Soul Regem, and they unfortunately they had to kind of deceive him to get past. I do think they will meet again, and hopefully this time around you know he'll abandon all that rage, which is understandable because well, I was gonna say given all that he's seen, but he's blind. But he has seen a lot prior to being blinded, so all that he's seen and heard, his rage is understandable, and we've seen what the humans are capable of. So I find it difficult to blame him. Now, Ezran is actually home now, and while I am happy that he's home, I mentioned before that I think I wish Callum was there because as much as I love Ezran, he's a sweet innocent kid, and he's very intelligent. But I mean, Varen is on another level, right? And he can easily manipulate him using magic or something like that, and clearly he has a plan. So I worry for Ezran. I'm not sure what's going to become of him while Callum is away, because I think as a kid, I think we even saw in when Varen was trying to get assistance from the other countries, and there was this other girl, this other child there that she was the head of the that country, but Varen gave this long tale trying to manipulate her and what he stories of the past about her parents and such, and she was very wise beyond her years, of course, but anyone else may have fallen for that, and he would have just manipulated them, and I fear that the same thing could happen with Ezran here. I hope Ezran is experienced enough to know that Varen should not be trusted. I do hope, maybe fingers crossed, that they do execute him before Ezran finds out about it, although I think Ezran is going to find out and spare him, and Varen will of course take that opportunity to get his revenge. Of course, we had a badass fight with Amaya, my favorite character in the show so far, to be honest. And surprisingly, she did this act at the very end where she was facing off against this elf, and the elf was hanging off the cliff, and she actually helped her up, which is that's something. If you recall back in season 1 when she first met Rayla, she just attacked her and tried to kill her immediately with no question. And then when Callum said, Rayla is our friend, she wasn't having it. She was like, that's an elf. So to see her actually help her it says something, and I think, you know, through combat we can learn a lot of things. So I think this is the second time she's faced that particular elf, if I'm not mistaken. It's the same elf from before, from season 2. So I think this is the second time she's facing her, and with that, I think as they fought, they learned a lot about each other weirdly, in a weird way. So she knows that, you know, the elf isn't pure evil like everyone is insisting. So she helped her up, but unfortunately, you know, she's a prisoner. But I doubt very much that's the last we'll see of Amaya. But I absolutely love her. She's by far my favorite character in the series so far, and I can't wait to see more of her and catch up with the others. So episode 2, let's check it out. Heavy hangs the crown, Ezra.
I don't know if I'm ready for this bait.
You can do it, Ezra. Magic everywhere. He's amused.
Oh, man! This is crazy, Rayla. Everything here radiates with primal energy.
Yep, that's Xadia.
Wait. What? You're kidding me. You are kidding me! Magic dirt? What?
Save some of that googly-eyed amazement for later. We still have a mission. I'm
Yes,
taking you to my
focus,
home.
Callum, focus.
The other elves...
Guys, you gotta be feeling a bit lonely.
Good morning, King Ezrin. High Council meetings are attended by the Council itself and necessary
Take him
security
with
and
you,
no
Ezra.
others,
I don't trust anyone else.
unless
no Corvus
specifically
right
requested by the King.
Oh, well,
Come on.
I'd like to request Corvus to come, specifically.
now. Yes. Thank you.
That checks out.
There are very few people around here that I trust, so at least Corpus will keep him safe.
The first order of business is to review messages received by the Kingdom. Crow Lord?
Yeah, the boring part of the job, but necessary.
Oh, sorry. The Crow Lord isn't here. He's taking a
Oh
personal
yes,
day.
the Crow Lord's assistant.
And you are?
The Crow Master. It's similar, kind of like his number 2. If the Crow Lord were to die or to be otherwise incapacitated...
Okay, yes, I think we understand. Can you please read the King his messages?
The scene with Brian last season was hilarious.
It's so small. There can't be too much stuff, right?
You have 417 unread messages.
Your Majesty, if the King so desires, we could begin with the messages marked urgent.
Rayla, you're pushing us to move too fast. You know,
No, or
there's a
you're not
human
being fast
saying,
enough.
sometimes you
You're
just have to
forgetting that
stop
you need
and
to get
smell the
back home.
roses. Or listen to them, or whatever.
There's no time.
Maybe you're right, Callum. Did you know there's a Xadian flower with a more fascinating scent than anything in the human kingdoms? Go ahead. Stop and smell this one.
She's telling the truth, and she smells awful.
What was that?
Some call them flatulilies, tootlips, peristinkles. They go by many names, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
it's a fart flower.
Zim,
Jim
no!
doesn't appear to mind.
This one also has similar bad events.
Elves that-
Assassins.
What?
There
Moonshadow
have been
elves.
attacks in other kingdoms. Successful attacks.
More Moonshadow elves? Or is it something
King
else?
Florian and Queen Farida are dead.
Wow.
King
Wow.
Aling is gravely injured. It appears that Xadia is waging war on all of humanity.
As in what their dad sent them to actually do, which is to kill him and Helen.
How are we gonna get down?
To go down, we need to go up.
Okay.
Wow.
Call
I don't know why they were even
A
guarding
tree.
the entrance. Who the hell
Up
is
we
going to
go.
traverse all of that just to get into Xadia? Not me.
What's going on? Why are they chained up?
Your Majesty, they're Lord Viren's children.
So what?
The High Mage is in prison for treason. We suspect they were involved in his conspiracy.
No, you've got it all wrong.
Tell the
When
truth.
Dad sent us after the princess...
Viren sent...
Soren, help! Tell them we didn't do anything wrong.
But Soren told you. That's what he told him to do.
King Ezran, they need to be locked away. Give the order.
But I'm not really sure what they were trying to do.
Ezrin, please, we talked about this.
Silence. My king, you need to make a decision.
Okay, but let them rest while I decide.
He's in a tough spot. I mean, he's still just a kid.
I'm sorry.
And they don't even know all the details. Although she is lying because I'm sure Soren told her.
Claudia,
He
I
went
told you.
to do something
Dad
wrong.
wanted me to kill the princes. That means we're guilty. At least I am.
No, you're not. I don't know if you misunderstood or misremembered
Come
or
on.
mislistened,
Come on, Claudia.
but there's no way Dad would tell you to do that.
Doesn't matter anyway. Dad's in prison, and everyone's telling Ezran we're guilty too.
Ezrin thinks for himself. He'll see through this mess and he'll do the right thing. Why are you stacking the bread like that?
Why not?
It's a bread sandwich.
It's so hard to hate Soren despite the fact that he went to kill them. He doesn't look very nice.
Prince Kasif, I heard about what happened.
Guessing handshakes don't happen a lot.
My army stands outside your city gates, at the ready.
At the ready? What do you mean?
Go to war.
Forgive me, but was it not a week ago your regent called on us to unite against the rising Xadian threat?
I'm not sure.
I wonder if
Xadia has attacked the
Varian
human
was the
kingdoms.
one that
All
ordered
of
these
us.
murders.
There must be
to
a
get them
proportionate
to,
response.
to act.
I'm
So this is
Xadia,
what
want
Arvos was
peace.
talking about, and he said he put things
Am I
in
missing
motion.
something? Why is the child on the throne now? Isn't there an adult advisor I can speak with?
How
I'm right
dare you.
here. You can speak with me.
If you can't take action against Xadia, you have failed as a king. And you have failed as a son.
Enough! You have a disagreement, but you are in the court of King Ezran.
Who are you to interrupt a royal discussion?
I'm Corvus.
He just
I was
insulted the king.
specifically requested.
I'm sure once King Ezran has had proper counsel, he will make the correct choice. I will
See,
remain
this
in
has Varian
Katals,
written all over it.
awaiting your decision.
If he had the other heads killed, so the others would be forced to act. And she said this was the easy way in.
Get ready.
Right.
Hold on tight.
Are you sure this is safe?
As long as you hold on tight.
That's beyond impressive.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to.
It's okay.
Ah.
It was a bumpy ride.
Aw, they had a moment. Brief.
There's no shame if you aren't yet ready. No one blames you for being a child.
I feel like I'm letting everyone down.
There may be a way out.
What?
There are capable people around you who can take up
Wants
the
to
burden of
appoint
ruling
someone
for
to
a
act
few
in
years,
his-
will
on
you?
his behalf.
Just
But that's what
focus
Viren
on
wanted to
growing
do.
up.
I don't know if
You're saying
that's the best
a
idea.
regent?
Yes. Someone you trust. You choose who it is. For a few years. The crown will be
I
here
don't know
for
about
you when
this.
you're ready.
I was
Just
beginning to
think
trust her
about it.
before, but now I'm very wary of her.
I used to come to this meadow when I was a kid. I would spend
It's stunning.
hours on my own exploring and making all kinds of colorful little friends.
Friends? What is it?
What's that? Ah. Friends.
It's an adorable.
Adorable. Damn.
So cute!
Look! That's nice. No,
They like it.
really, that look suits you.
Adorable monster.
Hey, these things come off, right?
He's having all the fun while Ezra is stuck here making all these difficult decisions.
All of you knew King Harrow as a great king. He was a leader, a warrior, and a champion. But I knew him as my dad, who loved me and my
Your
brother
dad would not
and our
want you to
mom,
appoint a
and
regent.
sometimes told really bad jokes. I didn't see everything he had to do as king, but I do know that my dad had to make very hard decisions.
On his own.
I'm just a kid. I haven't fought in any battles. My father made choices to keep fighting battles that started hundreds of years before he was born,
You don't have to make the
to
same
punish
choice.
enemies for crimes their parents committed.
Did he read the same letter
I don't
that
wanna
Callum
be that
got?
kind of king.
You know, it's pretty much what his dad said.
Set them free. Soren and Claudia will not pay for the mistakes their father made. I'm sorry about what happened to your father and what happened to mine, but we don't have to avenge
Yes,
them.
Ezra.
We don't have to strike back. We can choose peace.
I don't think he's gonna take it lightly, but I think it's the right decision. I figured he'd protest more.
King Ezrin, I admire your courage, but peace will require just as much strength as war.
Then be strong.
Are you prepared to defend it?
Yes.
Yes, Ezra. Sorry I doubted you, Ezra.
I am.
Alright, there we have it, episode 2 of the Dragon Prince. Fantastic episode. Of course, all the episodes so far have been fantastic. Ezra, I'm so sorry I underestimated Ezra. You know, the last episode I was like, okay, I wonder who would have been better for the throne, whether it should have been Callum versus Ezra. And yeah, I take it back. I take it all back. Right? I mean, as he said, he doesn't have to be the king his father was. And while he's not mature as mature as Callum is, but I think we can all agree that there have been some instances where Callum has been the more immature one versus Ezra, right? So I think he made the right choice. I'm not so certain about you know, Claudia and Soren. Not so much because of them, you know, personally, because we've seen so far, and even when Soren went to kill them, he was goofing off in a way. And Claudia is so respectful of her dad that she refuses to believe it. But those are good characteristics, but they also make it easy for them to be manipulated by their dad again, because she still believes her dad to be innocent. I think that may change when she finally hears the words from her father directly. And if that happens, she may become an ally to Ezra. So I'm hoping that works out for him. Because I think he has good kids, which is surprising. You know, now that I think about it, right? We've not met Varen's wife or their mom. We haven't. So how did these kids turn out to be so good and likable, right? Because if you know when you want to hate them, you can't help but like them because Claudia and Soren are they're awesome. Let's be great. Let's be honest. They're awesome. What they were told to do just was not great. I mean, Soren in some instances wants to prove himself to his dad, and I don't know what drives Claudia. I think she just enjoys magic. But I do believe if Callum can convince her that there's a way to do magic beyond using dark magic, I think there's hope for her coming over to their side, right? But Viren's plans have been set in motion. I do believe Arvo said it last episode at the end that you have set things in motion, and I think Viren is responsible for the death of the two leaders of the other countries. So he did that. So and I do wonder. They mentioned two names, but I'm not sure if the young leader was one of them. Right, the girl that opposed him. I would think that he would have targeted her because she refused to assist him, blatantly refused to assist him, and then everyone else rallied behind her and refused. So I'm wondering if she was one of those one of the leaders that was killed. So it's definitely Viren. He definitely sent assassins to kill the leaders so that they would be spurred to actually go into action and actually want war. And now they're at Callum's gate asking, join us. We need to go to war. And so he's not only in a position where he needs to not go to war, but he also needs to diffuse the situation with the other countries as well so that they don't go to war. Because if any of the other nations go to war with the elves are going to retaliate against everyone, not just one country. So he's gonna have a lot to deal with. I do hope Callum hurries back and provides him with some help, or at the very least, I don't know. They're each on the opposing sides right now. So maybe Callum can diffuse things from that side, and Ezran can try to do the same with the humans. So they may have to work from both ends to try to accomplish the same goals. But I wouldn't count Viren out just yet. That advisor that he has, I don't know whether to trust her or not, because she wanted him to appoint a regent. But I mean, last season she was the one that stepped in and said, "Viren, no, we need to find the boy." So she's been loyal, but I don't know. When it comes to dark magic, you don't know who's still on your side or not, right? But I guess so far, she's proven that she is trustworthy, right? And something else I want to touch on. He mentioned his dad, King Harold, and I know this is there's a lot of theories going around in terms of what happened to King Harold, and my theory, of course, was that Viren did not kill him, because in their interaction, as much as they argue, there seemed to be a deep, brotherly love thing between Viren and King Harold. So I don't think he killed him. And because he mentioned earlier in season 1 that, his first plan was he could trap the king's soul, he could trap the king's soul into some animal or something and make the Moonshadow elves think the king is dead. So I think that's what he actually did. I think when he went to King Harold, he trapped his soul inside either the snake or some other animal. I think he trapped his soul inside some other animal, and then the Moonshadow elves killed that Harold's body, or perhaps it's the bird, King Harold's bird, right? He did have a bird with him, which we have not seen since that scene. So I think there's a very high possibility that he trapped the king's soul in that bird. And so I think Harold, that's my theory. I think King Harold is still very much alive, and Viren has him locked in a cage somewhere. So that is my theory for King Harold. Hopefully, I'm right. But I mean, if that is the case, is Viren a good or bad person, or is he just a product of the war itself? He's just a symptom of his hatred against the elves. I'm struggling to remember. Was his wife killed by elves? I don't remember if that was something that was actually brought up, but his rage must be coming from somewhere. His distrust and dislike for elves. It must be coming from somewhere. So I believe perhaps something like that did happen to him, where he lost his wife to them, and so he's hell bent on destroying the entire elf race. I'm not sure where Arvos falls into this exactly. Obviously, he's an elf. but not like the others so much, since he's so intent on starting a war. Who knows? Arvos remains a mystery to me. He's very much still a mystery. But we finally got our first glimpse, with Callum and Rayla, who seem to be getting very close. I know I've said before that I would have preferred that he gets together with Claudia, because I'd like his friendship with Rayla. But listen, if it works out for both of them, then I'm just as happy, because I like the two characters together. So I guess it wouldn't matter whether they're just friends or they're closer than that. So I'm fine either way. Their moments are still hilarious, so I don't mind. But we got our first glimpse of Xadia, and it's everything that Rayla said it was. It's magical, filled, it's brimming with magic, in down to the earth, as Callum says, magic dirt. The animals, the trees, everything is teeming with magic, and I can understand very much why the elves, despise humans to some extent, because their survival practically depends on magic, because the very earth that they're on is imbued with magic. So if humans start just sucking the magic out of everything that they can get their hands on, they'll just destroy everything. And in a weird way, it's kind of a hidden message in terms of what is happening now with human greed and climate change, and how far we will go to essentially rape the land and take all these resources from the earth without giving back, or without some reservation, or showing restraint. We're just greedy, and we just take and without looking at what the effects are, on the plant life, on the earth itself, on us. We're not taking any of that into consideration. So this is kind of a reflection of what is actually happening now in our real world. So I'm glad that the writers and directors are, have that bit in there to kind of show us, what's the potential repercussions could be, but in a meaningful way in this series, right? So that's it, episode 2. Absolutely love this episode. Be sure to post down below, let me know what your thoughts are on this episode and King Ezran. Hit like or subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next one.